Hello ladies, gentlemen and others, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and welcome to the 8-year celebration of ThatKaitoDan, because now I have been doing this for 8 years on the dot, and wow, time has flown by, hasn't it? Well, actually, the saying is that I've actually been doing YouTube for far longer than ThatKaitoDan has been around. But this is easily the longest running and most successful channel that I've ever had in my life, and as cliche as it sounds, it's all thanks to you. Yes, you specifically, you watching this right now, you and maybe you behind there as well. But yeah, all of you, thank you all so much, every single one of you who has been viewing my videos, subscribing to me, liking, commenting, even disliking, every single one of you who has helped my channel grow over these 8 years. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for helping me grow as a content creator and seriously as a person. You guys have helped me through some of my toughest years in the past couple of 8 years and beyond, and I'm forever grateful for what you have done being a supporter of this random British goof. So thank you all so much. And as part of this 8-year celebration, I finally decided to get around and doing something that I've been promising to do for a while now, and that is a question and answer video. I asked people on my YouTube community site and on Twitter to give at least 2 questions to me on any kind of topic for me to answer, and here we are. So without any further ado, let's dive into it, shall we? First up we have Chris Campbell, who asks, "How you doing, dude?" "Fine, cold. It looking like it could be get wet here, so I'm probably gonna have a long night's sleep." Not. You also ask, "Do you know how much we're rooting for you?" I mean, I just talked about how well you guys have been supporting me as a channel for 8 years now. I think it's pretty clear that I've got a huge audience and I'm forever blessed to have it. I mean, nearly 8,000 subscribers, over 2 million total views on my channel. It's insane, and I am seriously surprised at how much people like my content and like me. So again, the fact that you guys are all supporters of me, it just blows my mind. Judgmental Critter. Okay, before anything else, I gotta thank her for this piece of fan art you're seeing on screen right now. She made a Kaito Critter. It is so goddamn cute. I love Critter's art. She is so goddamn talented, not just with her artwork but as a YouTuber as well. And the fact you did this for me as part of the 8-year celebration, just thank you so much, Critter. It means the world to me. But in terms of your questions, you asked, what's your favorite fight from RWBY? It might not be my favorite fight. I might have to get around to doing a video on that at some point, but the one fight that always comes to me first when I have this kind of question asked to me is the fight with Cinder, Emerald and Mercury against Amber in beginning of the end from Volume 3. It is not just a fast-paced, intense, aggressive as hell fight, like seriously, some of the most aggressive fighting we had seen in the show period, let alone in general now, and the first time as well seeing a maiden in action and the incredible power they have, seeing Cinder just go full-on ham against someone of that level, insanely holding her own, and we also saw Mercury showing off his metal limbs for the first time, revealing the twist from the earlier fight. Emerald confirming that she is the one behind all the illusions. And one of the best things about it, other than again the aggressive pacing, the fast running time of it, the fantastic sequences going on between the characters, the musical timing as well, fantastic as well, especially with that lightning strike moment. Chef's kiss. One of my favorite moments, elements to the fight, is the fact that it just keeps on going. You don't know when it's going to stop, and it looks like there's going to be several moments where it does, but they just ramp it up back again, and it keeps you going. It doesn't stop, and it's just such a thrill of a fight. Easily one of my favorites. You also ask, what's something you just really love and just want to gush about for a bit? Dude, I could gush for ages about wrestling, football, especially my team, Liverpool, different kind of anime I like Rama, Detective Conan, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I could gush ages about Kingdom Hearts, Persona, Pokemon. Maybe one of these days I will do single videos on these subjects and just have a full-on geek session, maybe with someone else as well. But yeah, I just got so much and not enough time to talk about it all. It's that much in my head. Next up, Ruby Eclipse asks, what was the inspiration for your YouTube name? This is a little classic question. So, again, this isn't the first channel I've had on YouTube. Past channel names have mostly been, like, anagrams of different, anime characters that I like. But for this one, I wanted to do something a bit more professional, a bit more, distinct, and makes it easy to recognize, oh, that's that person. And I'm a big fan of Kaitos, or Phantom Thief / Gentleman Thief characters. So you're thinking, obviously the Persona 5 cast, Lupin the Third, Kaito Kid, Dark Mousy, and even westernized versions like Robin Hood. I like those kind of characters a lot, so I took the word Kaito, slapped it onto my name, and I was going to call myself the KaitoDan, but someone else already took it, so I'm ThatKaitoDan. Goldie Nick is next. How and what got you into RWBY? A friend of mine who is, or at least was maybe, big into Red vs. Blue, saw the Red trailer that I think was at the end of season 13, and they knew that I was an anime fan and also a fan of Rooster Teeth, and they pointed it in my direction, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic trailer for obvious reasons, fantastic action, fantastic music and visuals. So I was definitely curious about it and interested to see where it goes or whatever happens next. And then when the white trailer came around, I was starting to get a little bit more interested. Okay, there's something building here and I'm very curious to see where it ends up. And then by the black trailer, that was the first time where I was like, okay, I'm really interested to see where it's going, because it got all these relationship dynamics going on with this cat girl and this masked man. We got voice acting for the first time as well and seeing what that was like. And that was also the first time, I think, when I actually realized, oh wait, this is made by Monty Ohm, who I was already familiar with to an extent through his Dead Rising videos and some of his dancing videos as well that he's done. So yeah, I was familiar with him there. And then at that point, it was like the combining of knowing Monty's work and getting interested in this new concept from Rooster Teeth. I was on board, and by the yellow trailer, that was pretty much cemented. So yeah, it was thanks to a friend introducing me to the red trailer and being in from the start at that point. And you also ask, if you could be in RWBY, what semblance would you have? I got two ideas. One would be air current control, mostly because I like the idea of grinding on an air current like a skater on a rail. And another one is sort of like Raven's portals, where there's a link to it, but it's hands. You tap one place for your entry point, you tap another place for you to get the entry point on another side, so you can transport from one point to the original point. Something like that. Mostly because I like something that is a quick escape kind of semblance, or something that's a bit flashy, but also very limited, again with the hand plants. That Cartoonist is next, and they ask, what do you like so much about Velvet? Is it a character? Is it her design? I had a feeling someone was going to ask about Velvet. For those of you who don't know, Velvet is one of my favorite RWBY characters. It's the character that most people kind of attribute to me, kind of like Keith Montalvo with Weiss. And it's for pretty much some of those reasons you mentioned. I was interested in her design. It's very cute, but I like the fact that it's very fighter-oriented with like a very athletic and especially with a combat design as well. And bridging off that, I was very fascinated in seeing Velvet's growth from going from a one-shot, basically a one-scene character just to promote the Faunist racism angle, to actually being loved by fans and the crewbie and getting fleshed out as a result of that. Of course, the design of her combat was done by a fan. Her semblance and weaponry kind of plays off fan service with the copy weapons and the copy and the fighting styles. And I was enjoying seeing her grow from that one shot into a more developed character, especially seeing more of her beyond her meekness and having a bit of a cuteness to her and a bit of a quirkiness, especially with her interactions with RWBY and Coco we saw in Volume 3. And it was absolutely cemented as Velvet being one of my favorite characters through the E.C. Myers books, After the Fall and Before the Dawn, where we saw that she's not just strong and bold and brave, but she's got a chip on her shoulder. She's very smart, great with technology. She wants to prove herself, which, as someone who has kind of had those feelings as well, especially with being bullied, very relatable for me. And seeing her grow and trying to be the heart of a team, but also prove herself and not be seen as the weak link, but actually someone who can stand toe-to-toe with her friends, that really engrossed me into her character. So yeah, it was the design, the character, the growth behind the scenes and on screen. Lot to love for Velvet. So yeah, that is why she is one of my favorite characters. Then we have Lord Chozo, who asks, what is your favorite period of RWBY? As sad as it is to mention, it's probably Volume 3, even with everything going on, unfortunately, with Monty's passing. Because in a way, as sad as it is and how depressing it is to think about, Monty's passing did play a key role in the environment in the community throughout Volume 3. Because obviously we started out with Monty's passing and the just heartbreaking feelings there. And then, of course, on hand with that was wondering about the future of RWBY. Will it come back? And then when it was announced to be coming back, what is it going to be like without Monty? Not on top of that as well, we also had something that was teased for several volumes now, the Vital Festival appearing. We also had a ton of fights, new characters, seeing Crow and Winter, and a lot of high points to go on top of like all the emotions laying underneath. And then once we passed that midpoint with the Yang and Mercury fight, bridging into the stuff with the Cinder versus Amber fight, the Maidens, Pyrrha versus Penny, the darker it got, the more intense it was getting in the community. Like, for me, that is one of the most memorable periods I've had of a fan, as being a fan of anything I can think of. Because not only was the content itself massively engrossing and, like, he got so many emotions out of me and all of us, but it was also exciting to see all the different theories and opinions, comments, speculation about what's happening. What does this mean? Who is this? Who is that? What's going on here? It was the biggest powder keg of community interaction I have seen in the fandom, and probably one of the most I've seen in any fandom that I've been a part of. So because of that, even with the tragic nature going on alongside it, Volume 3 was probably my favorite period so far as a RWBY fan. You also ask as well, what was your favorite video to make? Me personally, I really loved my theories. I loved doing the research and like the behind the scenes like discovery of like certain elements that could fit into what I'm talking about, especially like with the Oscar Semblance theory, the first one I ever did. That was fun to like dive into the world of the Wizard of Oz and learn more about that beyond what I've only seen from like the films and such, and seeing how that could play into RWBY. Same with the discovery and the research I was doing for the Relic Beings, and thinking about who could kill Cinder, my most recent theory. That was a lot of fun there, because it's bridging off a lot of the research and stuff that I do for my reviews, but like trying for now, me adding my own personal touch and how to make that connecting tissue between what I've researched and what I'm talking about. That was a lot of fun. As well as all the collaborations that I've done. Like I've been interviewed by Calaxin. I've obviously been a part of the Oscars as award host for both times, which was fantastic, a true honor that. All the fun that I've had with like Zoran Akiba doing real or fake anime, and especially the videos I've done with freelancer Amber on doing Pokemon teams for RWBY characters. And that was, you have no idea how much research and like script work and like different conversations we were having on that. It was hard work, but it was so rewarding at the end, and it was a lot of fun just bantering off back and forth with Amber. So yeah, between solo videos, probably my theories were the ones I had like the most fun, and like some of my the work that I've most appreciative of myself, and also the collaborations that I've done. Black Omen asks, as a lover of puns, do you have a favorite one to use? I must admit, my puns are a bit cheesy, but they're damn gooder. Mark Whitley next, and they ask, when did you get involved with making puns? Probably because of the fact that there's a lot of puns in British humour, especially in stuff like Fawlty Towers, a lot of Monty Python stuff, huge with like puns and stuff. And like two of my biggest comedic inspirations, Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, they kind of play off the puns, but also a lot of like that high energy, kind of like very animated, very expressive kind of comedic style that you often do get with puns, and getting that kind of like loud, expressive reaction out of the people being told the joke. That's one thing that I always do with my jokes and my puns and anything I try to do in terms of like humor. I just try to make people laugh and have a good smile about it. Even if it's a bad joke, so long as it gets a good reaction, that's all I do. And again, big inspiration with most British comedy going on, as well as Jim Carrey and especially Robin Williams. Big inspiration there in terms of not just my puns, but also my comedic style in general. And you also ask, are there any fandoms other than RWBY, Pokemon, or My Hero Academia that you enjoy? Probably like Kingdom Hearts, Persona, I guess in some way the Smash fandom in a sense, but mostly in terms of like the speculation and stuff like that. Zelda, big one there as well. I don't have like a lot of major communities that I'm involved in as much as RWBY, but those are like some ones I can think of at the top of my head. Keith Montalbo next, and they just say Final Fantasy XIV. Dude, you know I've just picked up the complete edition on PS4. You know I've just picked up a PS5. You know I've told you numerous times I'm gonna jump in at some point. I just need the time and the place and the occasion to do it. So yes, I am gonna get into Final Fantasy XIV soon. I'm probably gonna need your advice as well as some others. Just give me a little bit more time, please. And bridging off of that as well, Raijin Rising, as they restrain themselves from doing that whole, have you heard about the free trial from Final Fantasy XIV, the award-winning da-da-da-da? They ask, how long have you used the piece of tech that you currently use for videos? Interestingly enough, probably longer than this channel. I remember using this microphone and my Logitech camera for like the back end of my fan dubbing days on my previous channel. So I would say probably about 10 or so years. And the thing, I've used my Sony Vegas Pro 10 video editing for even longer than that. I really do need to upgrade, but these guys have been doing me so well, especially this for the price. Definitely get like a Blue Yeti microphone if you're looking to get into content where you need a microphone and you get high quality audio, but you don't want to break the bank, because these things are usually pretty well priced. So yeah, I would say probably older than the channel itself is my tech. Next up, Brandon Dodge. What would you like to happen in Volume 9? I want this mysterious island that we're on to really feel completely unique and like something that is completely unexpected if it was in the world of Remnant. Something that is only possible in this world, like weird creatures, land masses, or like environments that are like maybe coming to life or something like that. Something that is truly one of a kind to this weird realm that the heroes and Neo are in, compared to the Remnant world. And I would also like to see a moment with Jean and Weiss, maybe reflecting on what they've recently experienced as being the last, one of the last few heroes around there, especially for Penny's death. I want them to really bond and reflect on how far they've both come, and how far they've all come, really, since their days back at Beacon. I think Jean and Weiss especially can get some great dialogue out of that. Modded Joker, what have you got for me? What are your favorite anime and or games? Favorite games? Dragon Quest VIII, one of my favorite games of all time, probably the most favorite. I played it so many different times, but I loved it every single time I do. Great world, great story, great visuals, great music, great cast. One of the best JRPGs out there, especially with the voice acting for PS2. Fantastic stuff. I also like Valkyria Chronicles, massively underrated game that, especially if you like Fire Emblem, definitely go check that out. Persona 5 Royal, of course, big fan of that. Phantom Thieves, all the gameplay in that, the characters, fantastic. I'm also, of course, I grew up with Pokemon. Pokemon Gold's probably my favorite. And I also really like Uncharted. Uncharted 2 is probably my favorite of the trilogy there. In terms of anime, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is probably my favorite anime of all time, but I'm also a huge fan of Ranma 1/2. It got me into anime. I also really like Detective Conan, Baccano, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, Toradora, one of my favorite romantic animes out there. Yeah, just a lot of fantastic anime and games that I've watched. Definitely go recommend checking them all out if you haven't. Supreme Brawler asks, what anime would you recommend watching? I would recommend watching all the ones that I've just mentioned, especially like Fullmetal Alchemist, Baccano, Ranma 1/2, fantastic animes there. But I would also recommend watching Summer Wars. It is one of my favorite pieces of material I have seen in general, not just anime and not just anime films. A lot of heart, a lot of great family dynamics there, especially with like the grandma and that. But there's also a lot of fantastical sci-fi elements to it that really makes it a visual splendor. Obviously, there's some elements that that people in my generation might feel a bit familiar with, but it's one of Mamoru Hosoda's best works in my opinion, and just the emotions and the heart in it is one of a kind. Definitely recommend checking out in terms of anime films you should definitely give a watch. And you also ask, what has been your most big successful achievement that you have earned during your YouTube run so far? I mean, it's gotta be when Monty tweeted out about my videos. Back during the early years of Volume 2, he tweeted out saying that he loved my analysis reviews, and he said that I had a voice that could be on Discovery Channel. Which was huge, because obviously I've been shouted out by the creator of the show I'm doing content about. That is huge, and that was like the first big boom for my channel. Like, Arnold, Murderer Birds, he can attest to this as well. He was there when people were like flowing into my channel because of that tweet. It is a massive achievement just getting that, and also on a voice acting front, like I really wanted to be a voice actor. I still do. I'm big into like the voiceover stuff, and to say that I've got a voice fit for a Discovery Channel, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm so eternally thankful to Monty for that tweet and the impact that it's had on my channel and me as a content creator and as a person. And I just wish I was able to thank him in person, because that really did mean a lot. Yeah, that sorry, I did not mean to get teary up here, but it means so much. That one tweet made such an impact on my life, and I thanked him on Twitter, but I just wish I was able to thank him in person. And I at least hope that Monty did realize just how much that meant to me. And yeah, thank you, Monty, for that. Okay, moving on before I start tearing up more. Pika Twig 1 asks, what would you say has been your favorite part about being a member of this community? Obviously it's just interacting with everyone here. Especially as someone who started out way before RWBYtubers were even a thing. Like, I was probably one of the first RWBY content creators out there, and one of my favorite things has seen all these other channels grow and flourish and become just as successful or even more successful than I was. Like Klaxon, obviously Murderer Birds becoming like the staple of the fandom. But also like Fat Man Falling, Celtic Phoenix, Raijin Rising, Rigger, Twins Inc., Judgmental Critter, Phoenix Knight, Freelance to Amber. There's so many creators that I'm so happy to see flourish in this fandom, and I'm also the same way with all the fan artists and the cosplayers. Just like so many fantastic people in this community that I'm so honored to have been there at the start, to see them go from like a small seed to this massive flower field of fantastic talent and fantastic people. And that has been one of the most rewarding experiences, just watching as part of the community from the outside, seeing all these guys grow, and of course interacting with all of you guys. AC Gears and Arms, they ask, what would be your personal and original RWBY weapon? Fun fact, I think I've mentioned this a few times in the past, but the first OC weapon I had in my head was a crossbow sword, which ended up being used by Nebula from Team Indigo. So then I moved on to a crossbow wrist blade that ended up being used by Robin, who also used the fairy tale illusion Robin Hood that I was going to use for my OC. So there's been a lot of going back to the drawing board. At the moment, I like the idea of having one ranged and one melee weapon. The ranged weapon being like a wrist-mounted, maybe like grenade launcher or something like that, with different types of bombs and different types of dust ammo. And the melee weapon being a sword that can change different sizes and then turn into like a claw gauntlet. Something that can work for different ranges and give a few more options in terms of combat. But, you know, maybe that will be pinched by Volume 9. And you also ask, do you have any personal plans on covering upcoming games? Yes, I want to get at some point to talking about Tales of Arise. I'm a huge Tales fan, and I really did love Arise, and there's a lot to talk about there. And I'm up for talking about other games that I end up playing down the line. I might even do a top 10 games that I played this year at the end of this year, so be on the lookout for all that. Then it's Chester Chessboard asking, do you ever wish to cosplay? Yes, but I have had neither the time, money, or the occasion to do so. I do want to dress up as a RWBY character, maybe Jean at an RTX at some point. I think that would be one I can do relatively well. But I also want to cosplay as Victor from Pokemon Sword and Shield, because that's basically me as a Pokemon trainer there, especially Galar region, Brit. And I also want to cosplay as the Dragon Quest VIII hero, because again, favorite game, he kind of looks a bit like me with the same like hair color and eye color, sorry. And that would be a fun cosplay to do. So yeah, maybe one day I'll get around to doing some kind of cosplay. Ali! Okay, you ask, if you had the chance to work at Rooster Teeth on RWBY, in which department would you work? Probably voice acting? I mean, that's the one I've done the most experience with personally in terms of like acting. I did several bouts of acting growing up as a kid through my schools. I also did like 2 years of performance theatre at college, singing, dancing, and acting. I did half a year at uni as well, but I had to drop out because of back surgery. So that's the area in RWBY that I could have the most experience with, even if it's just like doing minor roles or maybe helping out with the voiceover direction side, perhaps. Otherwise, maybe writing or video production, scene directing, something like that. I don't know. I would love to be like a small cameo voice in RWBY maybe one day, or just like being some part of Rooster Teeth. That would be pretty cool, but who knows. You also ask, if you could take one character from Genlock and put them in Remnant, who would they be? Bonus, what semblance would they have? Cammy, favorite character from Genlock, and she would either have the semblance of creating aura infused puppetry machinery, something like that, to work off her tech skills, or the semblance that allows her to be the only RWBY character to say the F word. Alex Langenberger, I hope I got your last name right there. You asked me, what team that are inspired by mythology would you love to see in RWBY? You mentioned several Shinto-based characters that you're doing for your team, and yeah, I would probably go in a similar path. I think we could really do with some more Japanese mythology elements in the show, because there are just so much potential in that pool still to be used, like different characters for either like huntsmen or huntresses, or locations, or even Grimm. Like, I would love eight-headed dragon Grimm based on Yamata no Orochi, or a character based on the Yuki no Onna, the Snow Lady. I know you also mentioned Amaterasu, you also mentioned Tsukuyomi, Susanoo, Yatakarasu. This is a lot of potential in Japanese mythology that I think could still be used. And yeah, I would have that as maybe part of my team, or at least something that I would like to see more of in RWBY itself. And you also ask, if you could change one event in RWBY, which one would you change, and what would happen because of it? I mean, probably the first one that comes to mind is change Pyrrha's death, because that was like a big one. Obviously, I'm a Pyrrha fan. It was sad to see her go, and that is a moment that made so much shockwaves in terms of like how it affected several characters. It robbed the heroes of a very strong fighter. The seeing Pyrrha die caused Ruby's silver eyes to awaken. So if you take that away, when will Ruby activate her silver eyes? Cinder wouldn't have any scars, so she could be even more powerful. How would this affect Jean, Nora, and Ren's arc this time out? There's a lot of potential there, especially with other angles as well, with maybe Blake running away, or there's some other stuff, like what would happen if Sienna was more around, or if Penny didn't die a second time. Maybe I'll explore that in some what-if videos down the line. And fittingly enough, backing off that, David Tunstall asks, do you still miss Pyrrha? Yes, and I wish Cinder did as well. But actually, as much as I do miss Pyrrha, I'm kind of glad we've got the material we do. I mean, I love how it has affected Jean's story arc. I love, again, the impacts that it's made on RWBY and all the other characters, and how much losing such a valuable fighter and of one of the best fighters in their generation has forced the others to become stronger themselves to make up for the loss. So yeah, as much as Pyrrha's absence is a shame and I still miss her, I'm still glad with what we got. Tyrant Lizard, you ask, do you have any crossover projects with Murder of Birds? If not, would you like to? Actually, we don't, outside of, like, major stuff like RWBY, the RWBY Oscars and the RWBY Tuber Roundtable. But in terms of, like, a one-on-one, collaboration project with me and Arnold, surprisingly, even though we've known each other for 8 years plus, with both of our channels kind of starting around the same time, we haven't done a collaboration yet. I know me and Arnold have, like, talked about maybe doing one. I really want to. He's a fantastic guy, not just as a content creator, but as a person. So yeah, I would love to do a video with Arnold in the future, and several others that I haven't yet, like Phoenix Knight, Twins Inc., Judgmental Critter, Rigger, Raijin. I would love to do a lot more collaborations in the future, so maybe toss out some ideas or ask some of them if they would like to work with me. Who knows? And then we have Chaos Theorist, who asks, what's your favorite RWBY fanfic? So many, but I would like to point your direction to Klaxon's recent RWBY fanfic on Fox and Neo. Definitely go check it out, it's a charming little read. Twins Inc. Hey, I just mentioned you. You ask, what's a fairy tale that you would like to see make an appearance in RWBY? It's related to my OC team that I'm making at the moment, so I won't give away too many details, but let's just say that there's a reason why one of my favorite Mickey Mouse shorts is this. And you also ask, while eating cookies with milk, if you drop the cookie into the milk and it sinks to the bottom, how do you handle the situation? Chug, 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 chug. A fellow Daniel in Daniel Walstow asks, have you seen the anime Sword Art Online? I did. I was interested in the concept at first, especially as someone who liked Dot Hack, who did a very similar setup in terms of, like, you die in the game, you die in real life. But as the harem elements were added in, the stuff with the cousin, and a lot of the uncomfortable stuff related to the treatment of some females, the more that was becoming more present, it just like switched me off big time to that kind of show. So in the end, I just dropped off big time. I mean, if you like it, fair enough, but for me, I'd rather just watch some Dot Hat stuff. So yeah, sorry. But you do also ask, what's your favorite fighting game, presuming you like them? I'm very casual when it comes to fighting games, so it's either the Smash series, I do like BB Tag, that was a lot of fun, and I also really enjoyed the original Street Fighter 4. I picked it up on a whim, had a good time with it, but yeah, I'm not very much into fighting games. Maxine Moon and Pink Rain Art both ask in some way about giving advice to someone who is thinking of joining into the RWBY or YouTube community. And there's 3 different pointers, I would say. One, a big one, make sure you know to take breaks. There's going to be some times where you get either burnout, or you're stressing out, or you're maybe like stuck on ideas. Take breaks. I know YouTube has this weird algorithm where they really force you to try and make video after video, week after week, but your health and safety matters more, and sometimes the best ideas come to you during those breaks. Step 2, networking. Talk to other people in the community, talk to other people who do the same things that you do, for not just picking up like little tricks and tidbits that they could give to you, but just to get your name out there and make your name a bit more presentable outside of just letting your content doing the marketing of yourself for you. And finally, look to your passions. Sometimes there's going to be periods where you're still struggling to build an audience, or you're struggling to get past certain goals that you wanted to achieve at a faster rate. Working off your passions helps you have that extra burst of energy to push through those hurdles and come out the other side and still bring some of the best content that you can bring, because it's something that you really are passionate about. Like, I was passionate about voice acting and anime, and that led into fandubbing and doing videos on RWBY. So look to your passions, that'll help you push through those hard times, but also take a break and network. Get your name out there beyond just letting your content do the talking for you. Pink Rain also asks, what are some challenges you have faced while being part of the YouTube community? Going from early YouTube to now where there's a lot more copyright restrictions, a lot of algorithm issues, that's a big thing as well. Just getting used to all the stresses that has come with the amount of tech issues that I've had, that is one thing as well. Kalaxin, they ask, what are your plans for the future of your channel? I want to get into doing some anime-based discussion videos, and that is related to something that I've had in mind, something I've talked about in the past. I want to get through my backlog mountain of anime, so maybe in the near future, I can do videos where I'm discussing, watching these animes that I haven't seen yet, that other people have, and just sharing my thoughts about them while I'm also trimming down my backlog. That's two birds, one stone in that sense. So yeah, I would like to make not so much review videos on anime that I haven't seen, but just open discussions. Maybe I'll bring in other people to talk about the anime with them. But yeah, that's something that I want to do maybe around next year. And you also ask, what is something that you'd like to see yourself achieve in the future, YouTube-wise? Make a decent bit of cash on the side. I still need to set up my Patreon. That would help me out in terms of like upgrading my tech that really needs it. And also help me do some different kind of content that might need a little bit more payment with. And I also want to do some streaming. I haven't done a YouTube stream, but I've done a few Twitch streams. So yeah, maybe that will be something next year as well, alongside my anime backlog videos. Blizzic, you ask, what's one question you were hoping people would ask, and can you answer it? I'm surprised more people, or people in general, haven't asked about stuff related to football, because of all the times I've talked about Liverpool and football. I'm surprised no one's talked about wrestling or asked me anything about that, or the fact that I'm a Brit living in Spain. I'm surprised no one's asked me anything about how I've handled that switch going from England to Spain. But I guess in some way to quickly answer it, football is good, living in Spain's been good, and wrestling can be good. Aaron Jordan, they asked, do you watch the Game Awards, and if so, what are you hoping will be announced, and what do you think will win Game of the Year? In terms of what I think will win Game of the Year, Metroid Dread would be good for a redemption story there, even though I've not played it. And yeah, I do watch the Game Awards. I'm very upset with them for not giving Neo: The World Ends With You any nominations. They put Cyberpunk in Best RPG, but not Neo: The World Ends With You. Not even for Best Score as well. That just really frustrated me. That announcements, more on Breath of the Wild 2, maybe a new Persona 5 spin-off. That'd be cool. Ghost Pegasus, what are your thoughts on Velvet being the main character along with Emerald in the Vacuo arc? Ain't Velvet already the main character? Yeah, I mean, I hope she's a major character once we do start exploring Vacuo. I hope they really take on board everything that Team Coffee went through in the books. There's a lot of great material there, and I want them to really feel like fleshed out characters in the animation. And I'm very excited to see how Emerald handles things now as a member of the heroes, especially when she does eventually cross paths again with Mercury, Tyrion, and especially Cinder. So yeah, I'm very excited for that possibilities. I hope it ends up pretty good. And then we have Rose Powell, who asks, what are your favorite moments from RWBY? I've also done a video on that. I think it was like my volume 1 to volume 6 countdown of moments. But in terms of like more recent moments, I loved the scene with Ren and Nora discussing their relationship and where they stand in the volume 8 episode Risk. You rarely get that kind of dynamic in romance storylines, especially in anime related shows, and it is so heartfelt, so pure. I love the fact that they're being true to both their singular arcs, not just their relationship, and it was well performed by both Neith and Seth. One of my favorite moments in general, not just in terms of recent volumes. And you also ask, describe your favorite RWBY characters in 10 words or less. Meek, yet strong and relatable Bun. Cool design though. Yeah. Son Kenobi, besides Roxas, who's your favorite Kingdom Hearts character? It's Sora. He's very relatable to me. He's someone who's a bit of a goof, not the best in most social situations, but he's a very earnest and very well-meaning kid who wants to help out people. He's trying to be a good person, and he has to deal with a lot of stresses, a lot of struggles. very relatable for someone like me. Ruby Mac asks, have you seen or heard of shows like She-Ra, The Owl House, Amphibia, and The Ghost and Molly McGee? She-Ra, really liked. One season, I think it was season 3, where it was just like really rough, but the ending, good stuff there. Especially love Catra, She-Ra, and Glimmer. The Owl House, one of my favorite cartoons in general, not just recently. I wish Disney gave it a bit more love and gave it more episodes. I love all the characters, I love the romance, I love the world, I love the stories. Fantastic show. Definitely watch The Owl House. Amphibia, I know a lot of people like that. I haven't got into it yet, but I will do very soon. And the same for The Ghost and Molly McGee. So yeah, quick rundown there. What game are you playing now? Asks Poltamnigay777. I hope I got that name right. I just got my PS5, so I'm currently playing Spider-Man Miles Morales. And yes, Keith, I will be playing Final Fantasy 15 soon, or Final Fantasy 14 soon, sorry. And you also ask, what's the best 2021 game in your mind? Neo: The World Ends With You should have had a nomination for Best RPG and Best Score. End of story. And finally, David Painter asks, how did you manage to keep doing what you do for 8 years? I'm very stubborn. And I'm also not a drinker. Why do I even have this? And that is the end of this Q&A. Sorry if I missed some of your questions. There was a lot I had to go through, a lot I had to talk about. But again, thank you all so much for supporting me over these 8 years. It means the world to me, and I know I've struggled, I know I've stumbled, there's been some videos that I've been delaying on. I will get to that, I swear. I really do mean it when I say thank you all so much for giving me not just an audience and a community to share with, but giving me the drive to get through some of my worst years and keep moving forward, much like Monty said. So, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I love you all, and here's to the next few years of ThatKaitoDan. But until next time, you know the words. Have a good day or good night, and peace out!